Jared Goff, Ben Johnson, Jared Goff, Ben. Get used to saying it.
That defense getting lit up. What you just did out there, that's losing football. Every time you walk it on that field, you have a mindset of, I'm going to win.
They will, not might, they will finish in the top half of the league. But I do think you surprise a lot of teams this year. And I think you surprise a lot of the fan base too.
They couldn't hang with Aiden Hutchinson. I mean, even in practice, he was making plays. And he was talking that ish too.
How you doing, bud?
I'm doing good.
How's your night?
It was good. Watch some Hard Knocks, watch a little UFC, and I can't sleep every time they play this Hard Knocks, man. Like, I'm sitting there, I'm on Twitter, I'm up, especially last night's episode. It was got kind of deep, and you got to see like the raw emotion of I guess what coaches and general managers have to go through every single offseason. So I kind of liked it, but at the same time, I didn't like how you already knew who was cut, and then you watched,
Unfortunate,
and they teased who was cut. It's like,
unfortunate.
But
I mean,
it's
but
the
you
reality.
knew it was going to happen. It was on
Right.
Tuesdays. We knew the cut day ahead of schedule. But look,
I'm just
the next week's episode, you'll probably be let down because you kind of already know who's going to get cut.
yeah.
So that's a spoiler alert. But that was the best episode of Hard Knocks.
Yeah.
That's what Hard Knocks should be, in theory, almost every episode. That was jam-packed.
Highlighting players, highlighting coaches.
First takeaway, my biggest takeaway, Jared Goff and Ben Johnson.
Two peas in a pod.
You're going to be saying that all season. Jared Goff, Ben Johnson, Jared Goff, Ben. Get used to saying it. It's going to be a very good combination. I like the working relationship. I loved what I saw out of Ben Johnson, obviously. We'll get to him later on, but my biggest takeaways, or at least my first biggest takeaway, definitely was Ben Johnson, his communication skills. Jared Goff, confidence level, probably at an all-time high for the kid. I mean, let's all be fair. Our jobs are to be fair, too.
Mm-hmm.
You get traded from the team that drafted you. They gave away 2 first-round picks to get rid of you for a quarterback who actually at the time had less playoff wins and division wins than you did. And you come to probably the worst situation in the NFL. No wide receivers, an injured offensive line, injured backfield, injured tight end, a defense that can't stop anybody if their lives depended on it. And you know the rest. And he struggles. And he struggles for confidence. And he struggles with... Fish, what the hell are you doing, you jackass? Get your shit together. Struggles for confidence.
Oh, Lord.
And then you see over camp, he's been arguably the best player all of camp. Joint practices, he's been lighting up opposing defenses, not just the Lions defense. You've seen him in the drives that he's been in the game, efficient, throwing the ball well, the connection to St. Brown. Ben Johnson, Jared Goff, my biggest takeaways. Huge winners last night.
On top of that, one thing that that stood out to me the most is how different of a 180 Dan Campbell in this regime is from Matt Patricia and Bob Quinn. And you saw it. The first thing that Dan Campbell said when they got back from Indianapolis, he didn't even get into the game. He said, "Thank you guys for being good people. Thank you for treating the hotel employees with respect." That's the type of guy that Dan Campbell is. And you saw him struggle, especially towards the end, getting emotional about the guys he had to cut, sitting in his office alone. Like, just the people in this building are just completely different. Like, just the culture. And you talk about culture, and yes, you have to win games to instill culture. But one thing I noticed about Dan is you got to love him as a human being. Because really, I mean, he loves his players. That's what I took away, is how refreshing this regime is as opposed to last regime. Because you saw it, hey guys, I'm going to let you guys lead practice. I'm going to be there. I'm going to observe. I'm going to butt in when needed. But it's just different, trying things. I think he took that from Bill Parcells, so that was interesting. Another thing that I took away, and it's a little bit of a worry, and we knew this, Adam, that defense. I mean, Aaron Glenn, and I love this about Aaron Glenn, it's almost like it's a us versus them. Ben Johnson versus Aaron Glenn. It's this little competitiveness. You see it. All the coaches are competitive, which I love. Another thing that stood out to me. Jared Goff in practice, 16 for 18 against the defense. Aaron Glenn chews out the entire defense, picks up the linebackers in the secondaries. He picks out them specifically. And that's really Ben Johnson talking about it as well, and we'll get to it later, telling everyone to buckle up. And he also said, he's like, Aaron Glenn didn't even say anything to me when I walked by him. Like, that's the type of attitude these guys have going into practice. Like, I'm not talking to you, man. Like,
competition.
This is competition. And that's something that I love. Because, again, what did Aaron Glenn say last night? Guys, that's losing football. What you just did out there. That's losing football. And the fact that you're preaching this to a team that had 3 wins last year, trying to instill that you every time you walk it on that field, you have a mindset of, I'm going to win this, either offensively or defensively. That's what I took away, man, is how different this regime is, complete 180 from the past regime. It's refreshing. And another thing is that defense getting lit up. And we talk, listen, the pass rush looked good, but that's the linebacker core in the secondary, Adam. And I know we're pretty much just preaching at the choir at this point. That's going to be a thing to watch come the regular season. There's a lot of guys you like, Malcolm, Chase Lucas, Ermanni Warrior, Jeff Okudah, but we're going to have to see it, in person, because you got Philly week 1, and that's a team that, on paper, if Jalen Hurts is that guy, can make a Super Bowl, I think, or at least an NFC championship. So they're going to get tested week 1, Adam, and that's kind of what I took away. Another thing is Ben Johnson, which we'll get to later, but just those 2 things stood out to me the most.
Another thing that caught my eye, and I didn't fully understand it at first, and that was the player-only practice. And I won't lie to you, Jeff. It didn't do much for me in the episode. It didn't. Like, it didn't move me. It wasn't overwhelmingly impressive. It seemed like a good time for the players, a good time for them to communicate, show leadership on the field, which, again, I don't mind. But then I slept on it a little bit, and I woke up this morning. I said, you know what? You have to do things every now and then that are different, shock the body, shock people, right? You can't just be on the same routine every single day. The message gets dull. And going into a season, I think what Dan Campbell has done is he has become a night and day difference, or I would say he's allowed himself to grow first, and I see the night and day difference from when he was here last year at this exact point up until 365 days later to this moment. There's a night and day difference. I mean, he's got him bought in. His communication is much better than before. I think it was undersold in the beginning, given 1, they sucked to start last season, and 2, the reality was you were kind of shocked with some of his comments. He's not making those mistakes anymore.
No, he looks more comfortable.
Has anybody been talking about Dan Campbell being a quote machine? That was the conversation going into the regular season. The guy's a quote machine. He can't stop hitting. The media loves Dan Campbell because of all the quotes. That's it. That's all it was. This year, I haven't heard a goddamn word. I haven't heard a credible beat reporter, a credible writer come out and say, man, loving this Dan Campbell guy. Really making good stuff for us to write about here. No, none. Football related. He's pretty locked in. I don't know what it means for a football team this year, because I don't think they're contenders. But I do think you surprise a lot of teams this year. And I think you surprise a lot of the fan base, too. I don't think it's a 3-win football team. I don't believe it's a 4-win football team. I don't believe it's even a 5-win football team. You're not going to be able to convince me at any point, unless a catastrophic injury occurs, that this football team is only 2 wins better than they were last year. Given the coaching ability they have on the team, given the offense I believe is going to be a top 10 offense in terms of efficiency, they were the worst 3rd down team this year. They will, not might, they will finish in the top half of the league in 3rd down percentage. 4th down, going for it, conversions, all that. Everybody loved how many times they went for it. They won't have to go for it as much on 4th downs this year. And they'll be much more strategic about it. I don't see them 2 wins better, man. I just don't. I see them 3-4 wins better.
Yeah.
I just do. You can look at the schedule. I look at the team. I'm done talking about how easy the schedule is. But I'm starting to buy into what the offense is going to look like this year. It's going to be difficult to game plan against. You stop the run, you still have to deal with Jared Goff in the offense. Amon-Ra St. Brown, nobody's... You want to talk about a takeaway? Has anybody been able to guard this man? Has anybody been able to? Colts? No. The Atlanta game? No. Indy? No. Pittsburgh? No. Anybody? Can anybody guard him?
I don't think so.
No, they can't.
He's going to lead this team in receiving yards. I think so.
He's easily wide receiver 1 on this team.
Yeah.
And you know what? We had to have the conversation. Is he a number 1? Not saying he's going to have a Cooper Kupp season, but I want you to understand what I'm saying here. Cooper Kupp is a number 1 in the NFL, no?
He is.
And we typically have been programmed to associate number 1s with a DK Metcalf, a Julio Jones, right? A.J. Brown, some of the bigger, taller guys, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Justin Jefferson. But then there are some of those guys. And whether or not Amon-Ra can ever be that good, God, that would be quite the feat for him to achieve. But the point is, you don't need the 6'4", 230-pound guy running vertical down the field to be your 1.
Right.
DJ Chark doesn't have to be the 1 this year for the Detroit Lions. All I need DJ Chark to be is an option. I just need him to be a passing option for Jared Goff this year.
Right.
Jameson Williams, people talk about him being the number 1. Cooper Kupp was a 3rd-round pick. He's the number 1. Who's the better wide receiver? Jameson can step into this team in a few weeks. Not few, probably 5, 6, 7 more weeks. And doesn't need to be the 1. And that's a good thing. That's a good problem to have. Very happy with what I saw last night.
And the whole number 1, number 2 thing, in my opinion, is
overrated.
It's really overrated. It really is. Who's reliable? And it's Amon-Ra St. Brown as of right now. Maybe Jameson Williams can get there. I think he can, considering the talent he has. But right now, Amon-Ra is that dude. Another guy that I was able to take away from, and I know we got to go to break in a little bit, is Aiden Hutchinson. I mean, my God. You see this man, and you can talk about what he does on the football field. I'm here to talk about his leadership, which is something that, we kind of discussed yesterday. Aiden in the huddle. Come on, reminding the defense, being that vocal leader, talking to Charles Harris, his relationship with Charles Harris. That's the most impressive thing to me, Adam. As a rookie, number 2 overall pick, I mean, you expect that out of those guys, especially as a quarterback, but your defensive end walking into a team that had 3 wins last year, being vocal to his hometown team, that was impressive to me too. And listen, they couldn't hang with Aiden Hutchinson. I mean, even in practice at the Pittsburgh game, he was making plays, and he was talking that ish too, which I appreciate, by the way. But overall, one thing that you can say about this offense is this season, in my opinion, is dictated on that offense. It really is. That offensive line and defensive line, which I said yesterday, it's going to be so important. Because as much as, you like the defense, you like some pieces on the defense, you don't want to put them in bad spots. You really don't. That's the complete opposite. Turning the ball over, going forward and fourth and short situations, and putting the ball in your territory. You just got to watch. But this year, I'm excited for that offense, Adam. I really am. And I agree with you. I think they're going to be one of the most efficient offenses because of the Ben Johnson and Jared Goff rapport. And now they have talent surrounding them and an offensive line that is healthy.
It's nice to see the direction the team is going.
Absolutely.